Hey Rashmi, yeah, pretty soaked right now, I gotta say. You know, and I'll just underline, we've been listening to Roy Cooper the past few days make these warnings, and I want to emphasize we are on higher ground. We're not going to be stupid about this and try to get to sort of the worst of the worst, because it's just not worth it. And we also know that emergency workers have made clear that if you are in an area that has been that is under mandatory evacuation, they may well not try to come and get you if it gets as bad as it seems to be getting in some parts along the coast. So indeed, we're kind of in suburban Wilmington, I don't know, about a kilometer and a half from the water at this point. And this is what you see behind me is the kind of thing we've been seeing since we got out of our hotel this morning, sort of down trees everywhere. Side streets are especially littered with stuff. Power lines, of course, down all over the place. Another threat, by the way, to people who are out and about like us. We're very careful about that stuff. The entire area is without power right now, so we are presuming there's a degree of safety with the power lines, but you can never be too sure. But this is the kind of thing we've seen all over. Interestingly, what just ended was a bunch of people came with sort of SUVs and chains to try to, and axes to cut some of these fallen trees that are across the road sort of in half and tow them away. They got one of them down. They seem to have dragged it off somewhere else. Maybe they'll be back to try to get that one. But this is kind of what it's been like. The winds come and go, to be honest. It just picked up about, I don't know, just before we came on the air. It does come and go. We're effectively in and around the edge of the eye. And right now, it's brutal. It's as bad as we've seen it right now.
There's the wind, and then there's also this storm surge that everyone is talking about. What are emergency officials watching for over the next 48 hours there, Paul?
Well, a couple of things. One, to repeat that message, to move inland, to get to higher ground. We ran into all kinds of people yesterday down near the water willing to tough it out. They're sandbagging up and saying, you know, I'll swim if I have to. And, you know, on the one hand, that sounds not... I don't know, sounds not unreasonable on in one level, but it is. This is going to be beyond the pale if it comes up the way they expect it to. So the emergency people are saying, for those who haven't left for higher ground, get to higher ground. And then it's just a matter of how big is this surge going to be? Because as we've talked so often the last few days about the slow-moving nature of the storm writ large, as it hangs around here, which it's now starting to do, it's basically, I can probably walk faster than the storm is moving. As it hangs around, it just sucks up that water from the ocean and it dumps it right here. So you're going to have the surge coming up on the one hand. All this rainwater has to go somewhere, right? So it'll make its ways into the tributaries and the rivers. So you'll have fresh water coming one way, seawater coming the other way, and the result, a surge that's just going to go like this, and this. It promises to be pretty crazy.
All right, well, we'll see what happens there. Paul, thank you so much. That's Paul Hunter joining us live here on CBC News Network. He's going to keep taking viewers' questions online, and people can find that on CBC News' Facebook page, YouTube channel, and Twitter. CBC's Paul Hunter in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Right. I'm going to need to read your questions. There goes some of my protection. And we have the handy iPhone in plastic. So we are now looking for questions on our Facebook Live here in Wilmington, North Carolina. We're in kind of a suburb of Wilmington and waiting for some of our questions to come in. Okay, here we go. And again, in case you're wondering what this is the handy keep the iPhone dry device, although it becomes a little hard to read through it. So, Linda Benedictson is on Facebook saying, how long are you going to stay there, Paul? Well, we're kind of banking through early next week because of the nature of this storm that we've heard so much about. It's not moving very quickly. Last I read anyways, 6 miles an hour. So what's that, 10 kilometers an hour? You could probably jog that fast. And the problem is that means it's just going to pour rain and continue to pull water up from the ocean and continue, if it stays near the ocean, to stay strong. Hurricanes tend to dissipate in their power as they move inland. So if this one hangs right here for the next couple of days or so, which is what they're predicting. That's just going to make that surge ever bigger and the rain ever more, and as I was saying, raise the water levels on land ever higher. We're starting to see that in areas north of here. In New Bern, for example, a couple hours drive on a regular day north of here is already seeing those big surges. So how long are we going to hang out here? Probably till Monday, Tuesday. We're okay for the moment. Our hotel lost power at 5:15 this morning. We're on high ground. It's a sturdy, recently built building, full, by the way, of people who've fled their homes. You might expect this place to be full of media who've come in to cover this thing. Our hotel this morning was packed with people who left their homes behind and are hoping that everything's going to be all right and that they'll still be back. It'll all be in one piece when they get back. So at this point, we're staying till Monday or Tuesday. And now my phone got wet anyway, so bear with me 1 second. Man, it has really picked up. Okay, we're now going to go to, forgive my pronunciation, Bongzo Sengsavan on Facebook. What's the max wind, gust, and surge? I'm going to go to imperial because most of what we're hearing is imperial measure down here. So forgive me, metric enthusiasts back home in Canada. And we were hearing this morning, what was it? I think 150 miles an hour? Kilometers, yeah. So that's about 90 miles an hour, 150 kilometers an hour, what they call sustained wind gusts, right? It feels, trying to stay dry here as I do this, it feels pretty, I mean, I can stand, right? I mean, we're not right at water's edge, but if you look around, you see the power of the wind. There goes my iPhone protector. Snapping, not uprooting trees, snapping them. Just up the street from here, there was a, one of those, picture a typical gas station with one of those flat top rain covers, toppled over. The wind just blew it over. I think the guy was saying at 5 o'clock this morning or something like that. He just heard a big boom outside and the gas station cover had basically been knocked over. Surge, they're still talking maybe up to 4 meters in places, right? Think about that. You think of it as a number, 4 meters, right? I'm 2 meters. That's just surging water. So people to put sandbags along the bottoms of their doors ain't going to be enough. You're talking up into the 2nd story level in some places. It's not like it's going to be everywhere. Although degrees of surge, they're saying, maybe as far as 3 kilometers inland. So that's the latest. But then again, it's funny. Part of the difficulty with Florence has been predictability. In terms of when it's going to hit, where it's going to go, how strong the winds are going to be. We've seen the winds dissipate a little bit. It's Cat 1, Category 1 hurricane right now, I believe. But the one thing they've been solid on throughout this has been the surge is going to be big. So that's the expectation. So let's go to another question. Sorry for turning away again, but I'm just trying to shield from the wind. Aminda Nicole Joseph on Facebook writes, are people evacuated or evacuating? Yeah, good question. Millions have left their homes. There are, in certainly areas along the coast, what they call mandatory evacuations. For example, Wrightsville Beach, we were sort of at the point where they had blocked it off by police last night. There's a bridge over to the beach. Mandatory evacuation is an interesting concept. You think, well, you are now forced to leave. Well, you're not. Police just come and tell you very forcefully it's a good idea to leave, but you're allowed to stay. If you stay, you have to stay on your property. If you're in a hotel, for example, you have to stay in your hotel. That's the law, but you don't have to leave. Most people left. Some people didn't leave. And those are the ones that are now facing the brunt of this storm, certainly on Wrightsville Beach. Again, we're probably about a kilometer away from that. We're just west of it. We're west of it at this point. So most people have heeded the evacuation. But, it's funny. We were talking to a lot of people yesterday who were staying put. And they were saying, well, we've seen storms before. And yet they acknowledged they'd never seen one like this. You have to go back to, I think, 89. Hugo was the last really mega storm here. And a lot of people who live here now weren't here at that time. They heard about it. But they figure they'll tough it out, so we'll see, as they say. So, you got another question? Hang on. Wendy Gibson. have the hotels and motels lowered their room charges for storm refugees? Good question. They certainly didn't jack it up for us, did they? No. They've been very good about it. The hotel that we were at told their staff, actually both hotels we were at, right? You don't have to come in. Come in if you want, because we want to stay open. If you come in, you can stay in the room. So they've been good to their staff. You don't have to come in if you don't have to, if you're worried. Staff are staying at hotels. Last night in our place, it was kind of what they call your basic skeletal staff. I think they had the former the sales manager was doing the front desk. The power in our hotel went out about 5:15 this morning. They have emergency generators, which is a thing that we sought when we were booking our rooms down here. First question we asked, do you have generators? This one does. That doesn't mean all the lights come on. Everything went dark around 5:15. The only lights really were for the emergency exits and to get the kitchen going. They actually served kind of a breakfast for people. Whoa! You know what I mean about how the wind picks up at times? It wasn't calm an hour ago, but it was less crazy. That was the bad one. But as far as we know, no one has been putting, storm supercharges on. I think everybody here in this part of the U.S. and anywhere where there's a hurricane zone kind of gets it. Everybody's in this together, and so there's, to the degree we've seen anyway, no gouging, and that's a good thing. All right, hang on. This is getting tough. Bear with me. My phone's on lock. Hang on, here we go. This will open up. Okay, here we go. How do you keep your hat on? It's called having a big head. And I mean that literally. Barely can I find a ball cap anywhere on earth that I can actually fit over the stupid size of my head. This one grips very nicely. We bring a lot, in terms of gear, I got this in Seattle. It's nice and waterproof. I'm not going to undo it, but I think we all have hip waders on because we don't know what we're going to encounter today. And also, even if you're not knee deep or hip deep, well, you can hear some trees snapping. Even though we're not knee deep in water, it just keeps you dry. An interesting tip for hip waders we learned when we bought these on the way down here was to get an extra belt to latch around the waist. If you are in water and you're kind of swept under, what can happen with hip waders is they fill up with water fast, and then you become a dead weight. So you sort of latch a belt around the waist as a safety precaution. But what else do we have in terms of rain gear? We got, basically that's it. It's just what you'd think. It's like being in a brutal rainstorm, except it's super windy and trees are snapping and there's a surge, except for all the things that Florence is bringing. It's just like a storm. Okay, we're gonna go one more and then we're gonna have to run, if that's okay, because we're getting soaked here and we gotta keep our gear dry. Someone is saying the inner circle is shrinking. We haven't heard that before. Don't know. It's funny, what we end up doing in these things is you kind of follow your nose a little bit, and periodically we check in with what the bigger picture stuff is. But basically, we're kind of we're not aware of that. It's really biting now. We're not aware of that kind of stuff. We try to make smart decisions and stay safe, as they say, and just find people who are still out here helping out by trying to get rid of the trees that we saw earlier, or just doing what they can to get themselves out and to keep their homes secure. So if we get a chance, we'll do another one of these. We kind of have to run now because, as I say, we want to keep our gear dry. I want to keep my hat on, and we got to go and report on Florence. So thanks for paying attention, and we'll talk again.